Not easy.
What's good, everyone? You're now tuned into episode 2 of the Nodcast, where I interview different minds across different mediums. Today, I have a very special guest to my right. He's a Sierra Leonean American fashion designer and creative director who has pioneered his international style with substance. His multicultural experiences have deeply influenced his distinct perspective on design. A visionary who has transformed his dreams into wearable art, well accomplished within his self-taught career with 2 awards and a fashion show in Paris. The one-man operation, everyone meet Shek. Sir Shek, if you're feeling fancy. All right, so Shek, you had a unique journey from Maryland to the UK and then into the fashion world. Can you tell me about your humble beginnings?
Yeah, so originally I'm from, my parents came to the United States in the 80s from Sierra Leone. I'm originally from Langley Park, Maryland, around where I was born. And yeah, I kept getting in trouble when I was like in my early teens, like those early years where you're trying to figure out who you are and try to build some kind of identity. I kept getting in a lot of trouble, and I was supposed to actually get sent to Sierra Leone just on some punishment type of vibe, just like on some like African family type of vibe. And my aunt actually intercepted me, so I didn't know that I was moving to the UK. They told me, yeah, we're just gonna go on vacation. And on the plane, my family kind of told me like, yeah, you're not coming back. So I never got to say goodbye to my friends. I never got to say goodbye to anybody. And it was my first time on a plane, and I landed in the UK, and it was like
A different world.
a different world. I thought there was like the prince and the queen and crumpets. And we driving past all that, and we keep going into where my aunt's from, which is Clapham Junction, Battersea, South London, and ended up just being whatever y'all seen on Top Boy. I was really experiencing in real time with no reference point. So like, just imagine just experiencing that for the first time, like with no reference point, no. There was no Skepta. I mean, Skepta was around, but there was no Skepta reference point. There was nothing of the sort. It shaped me in a lot of ways. I mean, for the first time, I'm from Maryland, so for the first time, I was exposed to different art scenes and, just engulfing so much culture and from different places too. Like, if I wanted to get on a train, I could go to France. I can go to Paris. Like,
That's dope.
yeah, you know what I mean. Take the Eurostar, just get straight there in like a couple hours. So it was very transformative being out there in Europe for those years in high school. And when I came back to America, I just had a different perspective. Like, I just didn't view things the same. I didn't view politics the same. I didn't view race the same. I didn't view art the same. I didn't view the hustle the same, right? And I came back with a lot of ambition, and I think that's where, the genesis of my creative journey kind of started, just the moment I kind of landed. Even the name Sir Shek, like, when I was at the airport, the guy was checking my passport and was like, wow, you've been away for a long time. And I was like, yeah, I was in school and da-da-da-da. And he just closed the book and was like, well, welcome back, Sir Shek. And that was where the name even comes from. Like, just on day one, when I just walked out the gate, saw my family, I came back as Sir Shek. I think that's the genesis of where my creative journey kind of started, for sure.
That's really cool. I noticed that you have a tattoo on your left arm that says Clapham Junction.
Yeah.
So could you tell me more about that?
So there was a guy, his name is Kenny, and he owned this clothing brand called Played Out Apparel. One time we were in Clapham Junction. This is where, we didn't have yellow buses or anything, so you used to have to take public transportation to get to school. And he had a clothing line, and it was buzzing. So I remember, and he went to my school, and now he's like the creative director of Crystal Palace Football Club. So shout out to him, shout out to Kenny. But he was the first person that actually made it real. Like, he was like, asked him, I was like, how do you do this? And he stood there and just basically told me, like, yeah, you just do this, and this. And mind you, I didn't know any of the stuff he was talking about. And he just kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, so like, I've given you the information. If you want to do it, then go ahead and do it. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. But when it was time to get my first tattoo, I wanted it to be meaningful. And I was on YouTube like, oh, what kind of tattoo should you get? And one guy was like, I choose the moment that changed the direction of my life. So this tattoo and these coordinates, this is the exact moment where I was introduced to fashion for the first time. So just thought, whenever I'm in a funk or whatever, I just kind of remember who I was in this time frame and where I was, and gets me back up to putting in some more work.
Yeah, your story kind of sounds like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
In a sense, yeah, like the hooder version is like the South London version of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, yeah.
It's like the international version.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how long after that did you come back to the U.S.? Did you make a return later on in your life?
I lived out there for like 3 years.
Okay.
Came back. I graduated high school when I was 16. So when I came back, I was supposed to go to UMBC,
Okay.
and I went there, and I just didn't like it. And
That's actually where I went. That's my alma mater, yeah.
Yeah. So like I went there, that's where my stepdad went there too, and he was, he had connections and got me in there, and I was like, man, I don't know, this is a lot. At 16 years old, this is a lot, especially just coming home from London, and it's really slow pace out there, and I was like, man, I don't know, and ended up going to Montgomery College, Rockville, so I just get my credits and then transfer eventually. So that's actually where I started the brand. Started from community college with $191.78, one t-shirt, and just my homies. We're taking it pretty far.
And what year was that?
That was, I would say, the idea and concept, maybe 2010, 11, somewhere like that.
2010.
Yeah, 2010, and then the first collection for sure was like 2011, like when Logic, like the last season of 2011 for sure.
Okay.
Is when I put the first collection out, which is like not even a collection. It was like 3 shirts, but we call it a collection because it was just a collection. But like realistically, like looking back on it, it was like very humble.
Well, you mentioned $200 roughly that you used to start this brand.
For sure.
What was the process for that like?
I was standing in line trying to get some LeBrons. We were like headhunters, so I was always the guy that had like hustles, right? Like I was always hustling something. I was selling books, digital books before that became like a big thing. I was like selling like. I was always hustling and selling something. We went to the mall to try to figure out if we could, get a pair of LeBrons or some shoes. This is when the malls used to let you camp out and like would let you in to camp out. There's a guy opening his kiosk and he was like, yeah, if you have a logo, I can make you 20 shirts. And I was
airbrush shirts.
Yeah, little airbrush shirts. Like, no, he had the heat press joint.
Okay.
And I remember just looking at him like I did the math. It was really just math to me. It wasn't really like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer artist. It was more like, oh, like if I make 20 shirts at $10 a pop and sell them for 20, then that's not bad. We could just kind of move like that. And I didn't get the shirts made that day, but that kind of sparked my interest, and fate just kind of just kept trekking me along to this path. And I didn't have any ideas of wanting to do this initially. It was just, it kind of chose me. I always say that like fashion, I didn't choose fashion. I feel like fashion kind of chose me.
Yeah, and I feel like the same thing kind of happened with my music relationship. Yeah. When I was pursuing music, it kind of just stayed with my path.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that, I was just doing because I felt like doing it.
Yeah.
Anytime like I was in a situation where I was, going through adversity or I was going through a tough time, music as an outlet to help me. So sure. I think fashion is kind of like that with you too?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, once I found it, as there was an OG in my estate, where I used to live in London was like an estate, and then there was like a bar. It was called Chopper, like right outside of my bar, and like the Jamaican old heads would be there. And I remember one time I was like, man, like, one of the guys, one of the top guys rolled past in this crazy car, and like I was like, man, I want to be like that. And he was like, nah, man, like you can be like that, but legit. And he said it in a Jamaican accent. I'll spare you all the verbiage, but he basically, the gist of it was, yo, you can be like that, but you can be legit and not have to worry about the things that he has to worry about. That was always like a fuel for me, like, yo, like you can have all the cars, floss all you want, and you could just be a legit, actual business person that doesn't have to worry about the law or anything like that. And I just kind of stuck. And, whenever I kind of like was about to gear off that, like Swavor kind of gave me that, like, that tunnel, to kind of focus on. So
what's the origin of that name, Swavor? You mentioned it. Ironically, is it pronounced Swavor or Swavor?
So it's funny. Like my first fashion show was in Paris, and we did that in 2014. And I'll never forget when we get into the hotel, and we had it in this hotel. We won a grant from a fashion school out there. My business partner did. And they just did not pronounce it Swavor at all. Like, it was not even like, I tried to like convince them, like, no, like it's Swavor. Swavor.
Yeah.
Swavor. So it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I can't really.
I can't hold you. That sounds a little bit better though.
Yeah, that's Swavor. What I'm saying. Like, bro, like, and there was a girl that just like, she kept calling it that. And I was like, bro, I am not correcting you at all. So I'm gonna just let that rock.
Right.
And so it just really depends. I think it's a regional thing. Like sometimes I introduce it as Swavor depending on who I'm speaking on. But the genesis of it was Swavor, and it's chic, wealthy, arrogant, victorious, original retail. So it's actually an acronym.
Okay, cool.
Everyone just thinks it's swag and flavor or some whatever.
Swag and flavor would be crazy.
Whatever makes you love it, I'm completely down. You know, I own the trademark now, so hey,
Nice.
man, flip it however you want. But,
Yes, ownership is key. Ownership is key. I like that you mentioned that. So what is your vision for this fashion brand? Do you plan on taking it international? Or?
The genesis of the brand for me, I remember very early on, I realized that, you know, kind of chasing fashion trends in their being a brand that chases fashion trends will never make you sustainable for longer than the trend, in my opinion, right? I think the identity of the brand very early on is something I noticed was like, yo, let's just tell a story through garments. And if we can do that, then we'll garner the base, we'll garner a cult following no matter what.
Right.
So the first time we ever did this was we made a collection based around Alexander the Great's life. And what we did was every single piece was like, when you laid it out on the website, was like his birth all the way to his very last battle. And we just had, this is the era of like, wearing those neoclassical shirts with the big, you know what I mean?
Medieval times, yeah.
Yeah, those like medieval shirts and all that. So like we were using those paintings to kind of illustrate his life. So when we laid it out on the website, it was like, he was born here, and here's the story of him in Macedonia, and here's his first battle, and like just laid it out. And from there, we just continue to just tell stories. Like every collection has bits and pieces and little Easter eggs that like only real kind of day one supporters will kind of understand. But
yeah.
It's all coming full circle, and as the brand has grown, as my career has kind of grown, I've taken it over to Europe. Obviously, London is always going to be a second home to me, and obviously Paris. We set our roots out there really, really early. It's just a matter of, you know, just having the time and the wherewithal to just go out there and water those seeds. But shout out to those cities that continue to hold us down internationally as well. Like we've sold pieces out in Australia, we've sold pieces out in Russia. It's gone further than I ever thought it would, man. So, truly, man. And as confident as I am usually about it, like, yeah, you know, we run, yeah. It is like, it's not really real without, you know, people just showing love genuinely.
Yeah, and I think that's a cool vision. I definitely like the fact that it connects in the neoclassical era.
Yeah.
For me, I think that era was a renaissance in art and fashion.
For sure.
Because it really helped people express themselves in a new way.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And right now, I feel like fashion moves in cycles. Yeah. If you remember in the previous episode with Kasim, he mentioned that they're using AI to come up with predictive insights on how people will choose what they want to wear, how they want to express themselves, right? So for me, I think this next era of fashion is going to be really influenced by technology. Have you been able to immerse technology into your creative process at all?
Yeah, for sure. This is something Kasim and I actually talked about maybe like 2 weeks ago. I dropped a jersey not too long ago that was, it was like King Charles kind of like walking in the hood, and that was primarily used off of AI. Like I used a couple programs for it. I used Midjourney, I used Illustrator, I used Photoshop to kind of construct this image. I'm already using AI in some form or text, like because it allows you, again, the way that I look at it is like it will be the equalizer, right? Like right now there are creatives that really, really wish that they had the technical skills and the technical ability to get things out of the way.
Yeah.
There are people with not the talent, but the technical abilities that can gatekeep, you know, this level of talent from coming through just because this talent doesn't have the technical abilities. So what you have with AI, and the way that I view it, is just like, it's kind of like the equalizer, like, you know, like, hey, I can do this too. And it gives everyone a fighter's chance, to where it's like, nah, literally the best ideas will win here. The best level of execution will win here. The best storytellers will win here. It's a free-for-all, you know? And I think that could be definitely scary for a lot of artists.
Right.
But I also think that it's just like a, you know, like challenge accepted. Like, yo, hey, man, like I believe in myself. I believe that I have stories to tell. I think that I can prompt just as well as anybody else, right? As Kasim would say. And let's see who the real creatives are. I think that these are a tool. Like, I think as far as us right now, we're already part cyborg. Like, I think our phones are almost like a, you know, like an extension of ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I think that we are already very, very beta version of human beings. Would probably look like Halo figures and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that'd be pretty cool.
Dress in Halo figures, like, you know. But this phone is like our first weapon, like our first like cyborg type of moment. And
Yeah.
it's not even a phone anymore. It's like a access point to like infinite info.
It's a device that you can use for multiple reasons.
Yeah, it's the equalizer, to be fair. Let it get over to Africa and let's see what happens, you know, put it over in those 3D countries.
Now that would be cool.
You know what I mean? Let's see what happens when, you know, these people have this technology, man. Let's get it out there.
I'm so glad you brought up Africa because I'm wearing one of your designs right now, right? So I have the Swavor necklace on me. This has Sierra Leonean roots to it. As you can see, it has a green and blue color.
Yeah.
And a little bit more about myself. I'm also Sierra Leonean, right? My mom's from Sierra Leone. And so, you know, to have this is a great expression for the diaspora. And it gives me a lot of pride in wearing it. It's also a conversation piece because every time I'm wearing something like this, people are like, yo, where do you get that from? I'm trying to get a custom piece too. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, I just feel like, I feel like right now, this is the type of accessory that you want to have.
Yeah.
Because it expresses who you are, but also be stimulated by the idea of your culture.
Yeah.
Right? So looking at my notes here, you won 2 fashion awards and you hosted a solo show in Paris. These are some pretty big achievements.
I know.
So tell me about that journey, actually. Like, tell me what led you to that point.
So the year was 2014. I'm still in undergrad. I got to Towson. The brand is on Karmaloop at the time, which, you know, Karmaloop at the time was like the biggest.
That's the blog era.
Yeah, blog era.
Streetwear.
Streetwear. We were the sponsors of Logic at that era. So Logic is like, I know it's hard to imagine now, but like there was a time where Logic was like one of the biggest like buzz artists on the East Coast.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we were his total sponsor. So out of all the other brands that he would wear, he would get paid for, but he would always make sure that we had the best placements. And that is what flipped us into Karmaloop. But again, like I said, we were trying our best to have established collections and an established identity, and the collections we were putting out at the time were just for like commercial. They were feeding Karmaloop, but if you could notice at the time, streetwear and fashion hadn't merged at that point yet. You know, like this is like people still wearing Obey shirts.
Yeah.
Supreme is still, you know, like they hadn't merged yet. It was like the guys that wear the streetwear stuff, and then the guys that wear like the leather pants and the
pink polos,
and not even the pink polos, but whatever Kanye was wearing in that Watch the Throne era. It was like a beginning era. So we were trying to like. We had seen where this was going. We had known that the Virgils and the Kanyes were merging this, and we were like, all right, cool. Like, this is cool, but let's try to merge it. And that's when we started doing the Alexander the Great collection. We did that one year. We did collection based around war one year. We started doing all of these critically acclaimed collections, and then my business partner at the time got into fashion school out in Paris just based off the portfolio. I couldn't leave.
Sounds like Virgil.
He got into that school over there, ESMOD, and so he was over there doing what he had to do, and I was here holding it down, and we would just do Skype, you know, our design sessions were over Skype. And got nominated for the award at the Maryland Institute College of Art. At this point, we were kind of buzzing. You know, we were in a store called Kickspot in Georgetown. We were very affluent at the time. Just kept putting out these critically acclaimed collections to where someone actually found out about it and nominated us for the award, and we didn't even go to the school. Didn't really expect to win. Ended up winning. Didn't even have a speech. Just got on there and started rambling and shouted out Towson like 10 times. I don't even know why I did that.
Towson?
I didn't.
Oh, no.
I was like, what is going on here?
Where's Towson at?
But this was in Baltimore, Maryland Institute College of Art.
Okay, got you.
They didn't know what Towson was. Okay. They were just looking at me like, wait, what is this? Like, why did you win this? So, and then in Paris, we won a grant. We got grant money. We won an award. Again, our collections were good. He was designing dresses and things like that. We won a grant. We won an award.
Cool.
And we were just like, all right, cool. We're just going to throw a fashion show out in Paris. And like, really? Like, yeah, let's just do it. Like, forget spending the money. Let's just do it out there. We burned through all our money, all our funds, right, to throw the show at this hotel and get the models and do all this other stuff, bring the people in and do all that. Had no dollars. I went to a show. Logic had a show in Baltimore, and I was like, yeah, man. He's like, yo, man, really excited. You excited for your show? I was like, yeah, bro, but I ain't going to be able to go. Like, I got finals. He's like, what? Gotta go. So he bought me a ticket for me to leave on Friday. The fashion show was Saturday. I left on Sunday.
That's tough.
Came back home for Mother's Day, because it was Mother's Day that Sunday. Brought her home some macaroons from Paris. And then Monday I had a final and I aced that joint. So that was in college.
Wow.
You know? So like that was...
It's like a hat trick, man.
Yeah, that was like the craziest, like... I mean, now I've probably had some crazier moments, but that run for that time of my life was insane. So shout out to Logic for that. Always forever indebted for that. That experience was crazy, and that, you know, I don't really know what it did for me, but it gave me a lot of confidence to let me know that there's people in higher rooms that definitely respect what we're doing. So there's no real reason to worry too much about.
And how old were you when that happened?
couldn't have been 21, 22.
Sheesh.
Yeah, something like that. So like that's what I mean. Like there's just been so long. There's just been so much that's happened throughout my tenure, just being a creative, that it's like
Several different chapters.
yeah, there's like several different eras of the brand, So, but that was definitely that was a moment for sure. That definitely gave me a lot of confidence, and even to this day, I'm just forever grateful for those people. I still keep in contact with them, and they're all doing great as well. So it's good.
Congrats on your milestone.
Thank you, man.
I mean, it's significant for a 21-year-old.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was hyped. Yeah, you couldn't really tell me. This is a totally different. Back then, I was a totally different person, man. You couldn't tell me nothing after that.
He's a rude boy.
Yeah, walking around here looking nuts. Like, what you mad? What you mean? We were in Paris.
Niggas in Paris?
Lucky. I'm telling you, bro. Go find my tweets from back then, bro. I was talking crazy. Like, that May around that Mother's Day 2014, I was talking crazy. Go find those tweets.
Oh, wow. You got to dig them up. So, Logic, how'd you get in contact with him?
I just kept hearing about this guy who was just rapping. Again, I went to Montgomery College in Rockville at first, before I transferred to Towson. He was just, polarizing figure in Montgomery County. And then I messaged him one time. I was like, yo, man, I really like your music. I'm starting this brand. This is at the Genesis. This is like the very first collection that I dropped. And he's like, yo, man, I'm getting signed by this one manager, and I think that it's really going to work out. He came to my house. Yeah. And I remember, I'll never forget, my mom was like, yo, who is it? Because he was
scrawny white kid.
Like, he looked grimy. He had his creative Rex were talking. Like, this is like, whatever you think about the guy, whatever, man. His story is real. I seen Logic dead, bro. It was not pretty. But he's just sitting in my basement and almost literally prophetically, like, yo, this is going to happen, and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and this. And bro, literally prophetic. Like, everything that kid said to me in that basement came true in like 3 months. Like, he really pulled it off. And even seeing that was letting me know, like, yeah, bro, I mean, I think Logic can do it, and there's no reason why I can't fucking pull it off.
He spoke it into existence.
And he acted on it, and we just built a relationship from there, and like, our relationship was really good. Again, he paid for that ticket to Paris. Like, I tried to pay him back. He was like, bro, like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like, bro,
he paid it forward.
Yeah. So much respect for him, much love, and it's a relationship that I cherish even to this day, man, for sure.
Shout out to Logic.
For sure, man. You know what I mean? It's tough hearing people talk about him when however you feel about him, right? Like, right. I am a testament to, like, nah, this guy helped me out, and I'd be a fraud to, like, try to act like it didn't. So I always try to shout him out whenever anybody brings him up.
I saw him perform back in 2013 with Phil Day. Yeah, incredible performance. I did try to send him some beats, but didn't get a response. So it is what it is, though. It's a part of the game. I discovered him back in like the mixtape era.
That's when he was at his best. I actually came up with the name Welcome to Forever.
Really?
Yeah.
That was you?
That was me. I said it to him like randomly, and he was like, bro, I think that's going to be the title of my mixtape. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to send you an email right now just to make it official. I was like, all right.
That's hard.
Yeah. Welcome to Forever with John Belly, and ended up being the title track. Shout out to John B. And yeah, he actually ran with it. It's crazy.
That's really cool. Yeah. Shout out to Young Sinatra. But yeah, one of his albums that really stuck out to me was the one that had like a sci-fi concept.
100 Years in the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Remember that.
Where do you see fashion being 100 years in the future?
I think everyone's just going to be in a uniform of some sort. I think it's already kind of happening now.
So uniform when it comes to DMV, I imagine people wear New Balances, tracksuits, right? Back in the day, people had like Solbiato, stuff like that. With uniform.
We invented this whole core gore, in my opinion. Like, this is a DMV thing. Like, everybody is dressing like us. Like, in my opinion.
No,
like,
Kanye got his fashion.
Kanye even
he got his swag from here.
He got it from here. And I think that we've been wearing steep techs for no reason for the longest time.
For years.
Never been
North
been
Faces.
on a slope a day in my life. So
polo boots.
So in reference to the uniform thing, I just think that it's just going to get to a point where a lot of this stuff, I think fast fashion is just what's killing the integrity of it all.
Agreed.
From an artistic perspective. Like, you can come up with the greatest design ever, and like, you can probably get a cheaper quality version anywhere on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, anywhere. So imported or anything. So I think people are going to get to the point where they buy a very high quality pant, very high quality shirts and hoodies.
So it's more so about the material behind it.
The material and the durability of it, and people are just going to be on some sustainable wave and just rock. That's why I think now the Gore Corp thing is the most, like, most affluent type of fashion trend, because like, you can wear these ski pants 15 times in a row and like, it's not going to lose quality. I'm like, bro, like, that's the point in a sense, right?
The durability of it.
The durability of it. The sustain, like how easy it is to clean and wash off. And I think that that's where fashion is going to head, where people just kind of wear like a silhouette and just dress like this. Like Kanye's been doing it for a minute. I don't know if anybody's been peeping, but he just wears like the same kind of thing. It's just different colors or different cuts, different things like that. I also think that there's just a point where people get tired of clothes. You take it off and plant it in the ground, and a tree grows.
Yeah.
I think it'll get to that point. Like people are trying to figure out these sustainability like issues, and I'm taking a course right now with LVMH to get that certificate, Louis Vuitton.
Very dope.
And they're just like the things that they're doing behind the scenes to just work on the sustainability issue is like, yeah, bro, we're all gonna be wearing uniforms.
Yeah, upcycling fashion is definitely a dope trend.
Yeah,
it's good for sustainability. I actually have a friend, Saba. She started her own streetwear brand. It's called Rendered. I have some of her streetwear. But yeah, that's pretty much the ethos behind her fashion brand. She takes fashion pieces and she tries to find like materials that are recyclable, and she'll use that to create her designs. Shout out to Saba.
That's awesome, man.
Shout out to you. So the shoes that you actually designed with Under Armour, was that using the same material you're talking about, Gore Corp? Is that how you say it?
The custom?
Yeah, the custom ones. They're like heat resistant.
Yeah, so pretty much I used to work at UA for probably like all of like 7 months or so, and in that time frame I was like the guy that was like it was the photography studio. I was in the project management team, operations team for the photography studio. So basically everything that you see from like an image standpoint, like on the websites, and pretty much just do that whole thing. And I used to sit in the back and be like, man, you know, like we have like fashion pieces, you know, I just think that like we need to like style them differently, or like maybe just
add a little bit more sauce to it.
Yeah, add a little more, you know, sazon to it. And I would like look at the guy who like creates the styling guides, and I'd be like, I just don't.
It's not there yet.
I just don't know why he's the guy that does this. So what I would do is I would pretty much just like, we get a lot of free clothes, right?
Yeah.
I would just go back and basically like recreate them or try to reimagine them and really just pitch it to executives. And to their credit, you know, they could have just shut me down and just been like, bro, like, what are you talking about? But they would let me pitch, and they would be like, yo, man, this is really strong. We don't really know what to do with this right now, but we actually really, really love what you're doing. Like, this is dope. Like, you know, if you could just have some patience with us, and, you know, something would come of it. Of course, I didn't have the patience that they were asking for, because I'm like, those sneakers in particular were really just a concept that, again, was supposed to be pitched, that myself and Swaggy Picasso kind of put together. That was just a heat reactive sneaker, and it was just a sneaker that we took the silhouette and then just kind of reimagined it ourselves. So hopefully they love that idea, and, you know, it becomes something one day. But it wasn't a sanctioned Under Armour like, hey, Shek, we need you to cook up something for us.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, we just did that on our own to try to pitch it to them. And some ideas they've taken, I don't know if y'all noticed, Balenciaga.
Shout out to them. Yeah. Congrats on that too. And I think that's so dope though, because like we have so many more collaborations with high fashion and streetwear. Like Balenciaga you mentioned. There's other ones too, but like it's so dope. Yeah.
So I'm happy for them, and I hope that the brand, because Under Armour is truly a very underrated brand. Like, maybe not the things that we see on the daily. If you actually dug into their catalog, there's so much there to work with, and I just hope that they get to that point where they can turn the corner, right?
So, are you into NFTs at all?
I actually created an NFT called The Adventures of Roadman, which Nike ended up making the Adventures of Road Guy or Road Dog or something like that, which is very interesting, but won't say where they got that from, but it is what it is. I had an entire project of NFTs where there was this cultural figure called Roadman, and he just goes through different time periods of life. Like, so he's chilling with Julius Caesar. It's like, yo, man, that Brutus guy, like, he's kind of like a hater. I don't know. I don't really like his vibe. Brutus ends up being the guy that kills Julius Caesar.
Oh, wow.
So it's just like little segments of like him putting this guy in a tracksuit in these really weird time periods. And that was going to be the project. And then immediately, like 1 week before the launch was supposed to happen, the NFTs just crashed and Bitcoin, like...
Yeah, that's back in 2021.
Yeah, everything just nosedived. And we're just like, me and Casey Corbett, shout out to Casey, we're just like, I don't know, maybe we should kind of like... You know, like, what do you think? He's like, yeah, you know, I think we should just kind of chill out. Maybe work on something else. But I had all intentions of diving straight forward. Again, I think it's an interesting concept. I think Bitcoin is probably the future. I think there's really no way to turn back from it at this point, especially as we head to the digital age. And all those guys are dying. So, like, I know the fact that this shit is important. If them niggas all getting clipped, 1 or 2, yeah, but like all of them, all right, yo, yeah, Bitcoin is a problem. So
yeah, something's happening.
Yeah, it's like, these guys are threatening the throne, like, for real. Yeah, so shout out to Bitcoin. You know, NFT people get a lot of flack nowadays.
Right.
Everybody gets flack when it doesn't work, right? When
it's a lot of controversy around it too, scams and whatnot.
Yeah, that for sure. But I think it's cool. I think to to dabble in. I don't know if I would fully put my livelihood in it yet, until there's like a structure.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very interesting concept, man. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, so you brought up Nike. I actually brought one of their pieces, and this actually comes from their NFT. So I purchased an NFT back in 2021, right?
Oh, wow.
And they created something with a collaboration they did with a Web3 partner called CloneX.
Okay.
Right? So CloneX creates these digital avatars. And shout out to my man's Day After. He actually had one of these avatars, but they created the shoes that would be in expression of those avatars. And they have like different archetypes, like a demon, alien, angel, human. I got the demons.
Yeah.
Right? So pretty self-explanatory. You can see like some of the scales, you know, you can see like the demon logo here. Yeah. Disclaimer, I am not like on some weird type of like, so just so y'all know, I just like the design of it. I like the color. What do you think about these? What do you think about NFTs being connected to fashion?
Like I said, I think that was where we were headed as well. Like, I think that was kind of the premise, right? Like, he was going to be wearing pieces from whatever collection was of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we were headed in that space as well. And, you know, when you're a small brand or a brand that's on the come up, you do have to allocate your funds like and your resources wisely. Because, like, imagine if I had doubled down on this. And the world is so unpredictable, bro. I could put all my eggs in this one basket, bro. And literally the next week it crashes. And then what?
Yeah.
So I've been in business for long enough to know, like, use the disposable income that you have to, like, venture out and try new things. Nike's got all the funds in the world. They could do whatever. I think it gets to the point where people become so immersed in the digital thing that I have to design for Sims now, because you can go into my store on Sims or any variation of Sims, go into the Swavor store and click a collection for your avatar.
Right.
Walk out, and I get paid off that. Like, there's things that are happening.
And because the entire world is online, it's easier for people to design those things too.
Oh, man, the future is not even going to be. I don't even know if these kids even think outside of. I think they're online more than they're in real life.
Absolutely. Like, their escape is the reality that we live in. Their actual realities in the internet.
I think I'm going to go for a walk today.
I'm going to unplug today. I'm going to touch grass, drink some water.
Outside today and go hang out with my friends. Like, what?
Yeah.
That was like the norm.
Yeah, metaverse is actually something too that I believe is going to also come back around.
For sure.
Yeah, like Fortnite. That's kind of like the first step into that world.
For sure. You can't. Have you seen Ready Player One?
I have.
I think that's just the way that it's going to be. There's no way that it kind of can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is where society is investing their time right now. Like,
and you have like different technologies like augmented reality, kind of merging those two worlds together, the physical and the digital.
Have you done the Oculus or any of them, John?
I tried them. The MetaQuest. That's what they call it now.
Did that. The MetaQuest. I did the Apple one. I did the demonstration.
Oh, the Apple Vision Pro?
Oh, my goodness, bro.
Crazy. I haven't tried that one yet. What was that like?
Bro, it's not even real. Like, what is going on? Bro, he switched the thing up and I was a bird.
What?
And, like, my eyes were like I had like a bird's view of Earth, and I'm flying through Earth.
Nah, bro. That's trippy.
Bro.
I would have threw those off.
Man. It made me dizzy, though. That's the one caveat that I feel like Apple Store's got to figure out. It made me dizzy.
They had to figure out the price point.
Oh, yeah.
It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, you're spending your mortgage, your car note, everything.
Yeah. I think once they figure that out, though, bro, it's actually insane. Like, you go like this, and you can just move stuff around. Like, there's like, yo, he put me in a Yellowstone. And I'm in like Yellowstone.
That's the cool part of it.
Put me in Paris.
Like I want to take a day trip to Paris today. I'm just going to put my goggles on.
Just put your goggles on, bro. People walking past me. I'm like, yo, this is
trippy.
Crazy right now.
Step into a new world.
Bro, it's crazy.
By the way, Meta is also designing some glasses that are smart. So you'll be able to like look at certain things that are augmented, but you'll still be here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really cool.
That's where we headed, man.
Do you have like any plans to make stuff like that? Or?
I hope so. I love. One thing that all my friends are tech guys, right? So like all my friends are like IT people. So getting around them, they're just all they talk about.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really, really exciting. And I know people are really scared of it, but I mean, people were scared of like the microwave. Just imagine like mathematicians finding out about like the calculator. They were like, this is going to
What is this? You can make numbers do weird things on it?
It's the devil. Like, bro, thank God. Whoever the guy was that was like, yo, honestly, bro, like we could probably figure this out. People are probably losing their minds, you know? Like, imagine life without a calculator. That would have been terrible trying to do math.
Nah, man.
These guys are doing calculus full on.
Yeah, I use a calculator religiously now.
Yeah,
can't live without it.
So I think that the technology is going to be great. I think people are scared of it, as they should be. I think society normally, I think that hysteria of society raises the stakes for the creators. It becomes a thing where it's like, nah, we actually got to make sure that society's good. Like, we got to make sure that this is digestible for society. So I think everybody's going to rise to the occasion. I have a lot of faith in humanity. I think I'm a little more of an optimist, but again, we come from Sierra Leone, so we don't really have a choice but to be optimistic, right? So
That's true. Yeah.
like,
I feel like Sierra Leone deserves a chance at designing those things too. Those kids are dreamers. You know, like some of them don't have the opportunities that we have, the resources that we have.
I agree.
But there also is a landmine of resources that are there, like different materials you can use that are not in the U.S. So, I mean, I feel like that's a good gap that we could bridge together once the future is,
Sure. Once the political stuff is figured out, I think Sierra Leone's got a lot to offer the world. It's a small enough country that can be changed really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that in the next 20 years, it's going to. I really do.
Yeah, I fully believe that as well.
Yeah.
Have you taken any recent trips?
Yeah, I went 2021. My brother Shek got married, and that was my first time going out there. But I went far. Like, I went from like the city. I went all the way up to like this place called Bow. I bought a diamond and like the real.
Nice.
I went to like the thing, and the guy came out with the thing. Like, it's like, here you go. And I just picked one. Because, you know, like conflict diamonds, you know, they kind of make you nervous. You know, you just go into a store and just, you know, see some diamonds. And as a Sierra Leonean, you're kind of like, I don't want to say you wince, but you kind of like, you know that it's...
You know the story behind it. Yeah.
So
it's very dark.
It made me want to go and like specifically take it off the tray to make sure that nobody, you know, like I got to take this off the tray of the guy. I look a man in his eyes and give him the cash of the miner, you know.
Yeah.
That felt really good. But I went up to the countryside. I got to see the countryside. I got to see the city. It's beautiful, bro.
I like to think of Sierra Leone as the Hawaii of Africa.
For sure.
Yeah. Very tropical.
Sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah, the peninsula is beautiful. So many beaches.
It's crazy, man. I love Sierra Leone.
I went back in 2022. It's my first time going. It was a different experience. Yeah. How they live, how they interact with each other. It's a beautiful thing, though. The culture is beautiful. People are beautiful.
Like, I've never seen that many poor people, or like what we deem as poor, like
underprivileged,
just so happy. Yeah. Like, these people are thrilled to just be around.
Yeah. The gratitude is amazing over there.
Like, have a conversation with these people. They're just like, yeah, I know it's tough, but you know, hey, you know, you got the beach, and you know, the weather's nice.
Yeah, we take it day by day.
Take it day by day. And, you know, what you about to do, huh? This day I know, you know, it's just like, it's beautiful, bro, and it just makes you want to go back. And I feel like everyone that leaves is just like, nah, bro, when I get on, I know exactly what I'm about to do.
Right.
Bro. I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna build something for them kids.
I'm gonna be a billionaire.
And I'm gonna be like Elon Musk. Straight to Sierra Leone. If Elon really wanted to cook up, I know he's caught up at this X thing right now. But if he really wanted to cook up in a country, bro, go to Sierra Leone, bro. Sierra Leone has everything.
That's a landmine.
Like, it has everything. Like, I've never even seen no shit like this. Like, yeah, bro, like up there, that's where they get the diamonds and shit from.
Yeah, that's where Jack Dorsey's been plotting.
For real?
Yeah. Well, not specifically Sierra Leone, but Africa.
West Africa.
Yeah, West Africa.
Yeah, so you got the joint over there. You know, you could just go up there and just get this mango tree right there, bro. You can just go grab that joint. Like, right there, son. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the bananas right there, son. You just go grab it. Like, you just walk past and grab that tree. Just go home, son. Like, this shit is crazy. But no, seriously, man. Beautiful country. I love it. And I'm indebted to it, and I'll just continue to rep it no matter what. I'll never stop.
Yeah, it's a great sense of pride being from there.
100%.
Yeah, and I definitely plan to give back. So I'm willing to work with you on that as well, man.
Nah, for sure, bro.
Yeah.
I'm trying to click up with as many people as I can. That's why that necklace is important to me, because every sale that we sell goes, like 50% of the profits go to Sierra Leone in some cause. So
this is what we need more of, right?
Yeah, I mean, so and it's residual too. So it's not like, oh, like just one time, you know, it's like every single time we sell a joint, I'll hit up Rashida. Shout out to Rashida as well.
Shout out to Rashida.
Send out, like, you know, it might be like $30 at a time, but like, you know, I'm trying to like bunch them all together so I don't pay those PayPal fees. But anyway, you know, just trying to like have something that's like that I can build off of. So when I'm like 50 or whatever, I can be like, all right, cool. Now I know exactly what I need to do. Because right now we're still trying to survive out here. So like, what can we, you know, we can do our best. You know, we can bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
Give people things to represent, raise as much money as I can. But I feel like to do something crazy out there, you kind of got to get in there.
Right. You got to understand what it's like.
You got to really get in the roots of it. So that's not for now, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the infrastructure still has to be built, but we have potential.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, limitless.
Especially guys like me, you, Rashida, like people that are thinking about it constantly. It's constantly on our mind. Yeah, it's a matter of time.
Yeah. Have you worked with any designers in Sierra Leone at all?
I worked with Rod
Okay.
Reclusive.
Okay.
We
Word.
did a song together, and then we did the varsity jackets, and that was really his brainchild. Why he thought I could pull that off, I have absolutely no idea.
I mean, you work in music too.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really consider myself a musician.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way.
You know what I mean?
It's like I can rap, but I'm not a rapper.
Yeah, I think I can rap. I think I'm pretty good at. Well, now I'm being forced to make a project. But
Yeah.
before I was never gonna make a project, and I only had one boom bap record out. So I don't know what made Rod think I could do UK drill. But
Yeah.
it worked out. We got on BT. We got on UK radio. We shattered every projection that
That's
we had
tough.
for the record. So
Yeah.
then we designed obviously the varsity jackets that did really well as well. But that's the only Sierra Leone designer that I've worked with up until this point.
All right. So I went to a recent trip in Japan, and just looking at some of the fashion over there has a lot of parallels to DMV fashion. Now, you spoke about the impact that DMV has across the world when it comes to fashion. With Japan, do you plan to have any trips that you're planning to take there anytime soon?
Oh, definitely. Last year, I spent 3 weeks in Seoul, Korea, and one of my best friends actually went to Japan that September, and he's actually going back this September, ironically enough. I want to go to Japan. That's like the country that's like, it's like circled, and I'm just like, I have to go to Japan, and I want to go to Japan in a big way. Like, I want to do something there. Like it's my dream.
It's only
to
right.
Do something in Japan, like
Yeah.
do something in Tokyo, do something in Tokyo.
A lot of fashion icons go over there for inspiration. Kanye, Pharrell.
For sure. So it is 100% on my bucket list for sure. And I think I'm going to knock it out maybe within the next year or so.
Okay.
Got a lot of other trips that I got to knock out, but definitely it's on my radar for sure. How was it out there? What do you think?
Futuristic. They're living 20 years ahead. Everything from the infrastructure, the technology, the fashion, it's all way ahead of the game.
Just feels like the designers of the country design the country for the countrymen. Where it's like we design, I think, to like
That's true.
make things so that people can buy
For the consumer.
and profit it, and for a consumer, we design for a consumer. We're just like we are doing it for the experience of all Koreans here or all Japanese people here. Like,
Absolutely.
let's just make sure that every one of our people feel like every single need is being like, even like, bro, it's like little things like just having umbrella holders everywhere you go.
It's so convenient, right?
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, wow, this is great.
The utility of it.
Yeah, like, wow, this is amazing. Like, they just have umbrella holders everywhere you go. Or like the train stations,
Yes.
and like the way that everything's just clean and like
So clean and quiet. There's a certain aesthetic that they have to, and a discipline.
like a
Very meticulous,
100%.
precise. Yeah.
And that's how I felt in Korea. I'm sure that's how you felt in Tokyo as well.
Absolutely.
I feel like the first world Asian type of countries, when you look at their GDP and how they've like grown over the last few years, and then you go to the country, it makes sense. You could tell that they have so much pride in being who they are, where they are, to the point where like if you're a foreigner and you go over there, you like don't even want to move anything out of place. You're like, I put the soy sauce right back where I found it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
there's a certain culture that you want to respect
like, you're
there.
like, no, bro, I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking around, making sure that I have the etiquette of everyone around me.
Yeah,
So,
that's important.
yeah, it's great. I love Asia. So, yeah, Tokyo, definitely, man.
Yeah, Tokyo. The cool thing about being a foreigner, though, is when you travel there, they actually appreciate the culture that you have, too. As an African-American man, like going over there, I felt like I was at home.
Honestly, bro, that's what I was just about to say. I was kind of nervous and apprehensive, but it's like one thing about oppression, unfortunately, even though it's a negative thing, it's an exported thing.
Yeah.
Our culture has been exported through hip hop, and it's been exported through, unfortunately, through oppression, right? Like
Yep.
anyone who knows anything about African Americans knows anything about the history of African Americans in the country. There's a level of empathy and sympathy that maybe white Americans don't get overseas that we get, So if you can find the hip hop community in any country in the world and you are African American, I promise you're a rock star, bro.
You get treated like royalty.
Royalty, like literally, like, oh man, we gotta show you that we get it.
Yeah.
So when we went into a club in Seoul, it was the same experience. Like we went to a hip hop club and the guy's just killing it. Like he's mixing, he's going crazy. And I'm like standing in the front and I noticed that like as I move, I look back and everyone's like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow. I'm like, tell my girl, I'm like, what?
They're bobbing their heads.
Keeping this shit. Like everybody's like it's lit. Like so
Right.
that the love you just get there. It's like go overseas, y'all. Y'all want some love? Y'all want to know what it is? Now,
It's a
mind you, there
must.
is some. I don't want to like make it all roses, and I'm sure that there are some
course,
racists out there.
yeah.
I personally did not experience that.
Absolutely
I
not.
was personally embraced everywhere I went in Seoul.
Depending on where you go, because sometimes there can be,
Traditional, yeah.
some stigma. But going to Tokyo specifically, there's a lot of cultural appreciation. And the culture over there, like, it's almost like a cultural exchange. So that's where I think the whole like DC influence of fashion came from. Because when I went over there, I saw so many Japanese people wearing like New Balances and stuff like that, North Face jackets.
There was a time where that was not a thing. I remember wearing New Balances when I was in the UK.
Yeah.
When I first got over there, I was wearing 992s at the time, black and gray joints. Like, yeah, bro, I came to the cage. I was like, oh, he's wearing ends. Those aren't Nikes, those are ends. Like, look at him, what are you wearing? I remember wearing Jordans out there and they was cooking me. And Chike, you watch this interview, you know what I'm talking about, bro. You remember that specific day, everybody was calling me Super America because I was wearing Jordan 4s, bro. Now there's songs and music about it, but it's all good. Anyway, we'll let bygones be bygones. But like I said, there used to be a time where you could go places and if you were wearing New Balances, people would be like, oh, why are you wearing New Balances?
Like, what are those?
The whole world is like repping New Balances.
That's crazy, right? The power of influence is amazing.
Yeah. The DMV is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most underrated tri-state area probably in the history. I just think that it's a fix. Like, I don't think that the government wants a hip-hop community flourishing that close to where the bills get made.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty
the proximity
interesting.
is too close. We become a prominent voice in this hip-hop thing.
Yeah.
You can run into a senator on an Amtrak, bro. If you're a prominent MC, you can really shake the landscape of things, you know, if it becomes that. So the reason why things haven't been invested here, there's no infrastructure here, I think it's a fix. Like, I can't tell me that there's no talent here. Why is it that every time we leave, we go out and do crazy things? Like Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle. Like, there's so many examples of this. Brent Faiyaz and Logic leaves and they go, like, everybody blows up the moment they get out of here. Why is that?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept too. I think it's because of the size too, because there's so many people. It's almost like a crab in the barrel mentality. And we've heard this conversation many times before, but I feel like because of the size, there's a lot of competition instead of collaboration.
And
but
the ceiling is low. What is the greatest that you can be? Let's say you are the best rapper here or the best designer here. Like, the ceiling is like, all right, cool, congrats. And then everybody just, congrats, you're the king of the DMV.
It's very condescending. Yeah.
Like, congrats. Great, you're the best designer here.
But the thing is like, do you feel like there's a need to be achieving that within the DMV? Like, just like maintaining some kind of success here?
Yeah, I think that just for pride standpoint, I think it just as an artist in general, you want to be loved within the proximity of where you're from. I think that's just like a natural thing. Like, if you built it here, you want the people that are here to at least at bare minimum respect. Not even if they don't necessarily appreciate you, at bare minimum acknowledge and respect. But I remember he did it here and he built it here, and now that he's gone, it is what it is. But you want that level of respect. But it's not something that I focus on. Like, from a fashion perspective, I'm competing against Balenciaga off rip because I see what I do, I see what they do. I believe that there's just a matter of resources and connections that they have that I don't, that I just need to get to. We all feel the same way. Like, you can ask Yanju, you can ask Larry, you can ask all of us, and we're just like, bro, like, realistically speaking, we know we're worthy of being in these rooms. It's just a matter of how do we navigate to get there, because there's nobody from the DMVs in these rooms, or nobody in the DMV has built the path to get into these rooms.
And that's the mindset that needs to shift, though.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Japan, the thing about them, their mindset is very collaborative. They care more about community. And if we take that mindset and we adopt it in the DMV, it's going to become more collaborative and competitive. And so you talk about like how you want to be able to compete with Balenciaga. Yeah. It's like, how can you do that? You do that by collaborating with your peers here, and that there's power in numbers, right? So it increases your impact.
For sure.
And I believe like blockchain, you know, those technologies, things like that, they can definitely help with collaboration, because what blockchain does is it allows you to have certain transactions that you make on there. And so you can connect certain people who work in specific fields, such as like Nike. They talk about like how they're using like a Web3 marketplace, right? And they have like their own collections on there. And what they do is they have like specific guest designers, and they'll take those designs, work with that person, and all those sales, all those different like transactions that come from that person, it goes back to them, and they always get credited for it, right? But Nike is the one who's working on their behalf to help them with the infrastructure. So blockchain can do the same thing with you guys, where you'll have like a collection, but you can also have a guest designer, and they'll do their own collection. And then anytime they need to get credited for it, it's always going to be on the blockchain, right? I think those kind of technologies can help with it. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's fire. But that's what I mean. That's why it's like, for people to just completely shut down the NFT, blockchain, Web3 world completely when it's already out. Like, there's kids right now that are working through it. There's people working through it to make it better for the generation.
And it's not even just that. It's also like the intellectual aspect of it. right? Because you know how so many people like steal ideas, right? Some people I've noticed still like look at something that's hot from Balenciaga or Polo, and they'll take like the same kind of like design and like twist it a very nuanced way, but you notice the differences. But it's like, no, that's still Polo. You know what I mean? So like, how do you distinguish these things without blockchain, right? And I think that's the power of it.
Nah, for sure, 100%. It's gonna be an interesting next decade for sure.
Well, yeah, we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes here. I think we had some powerful conversation. Talked about a lot of things. Yeah, I know there was a couple hiccups here and there, but you know, it's a part of the game.
Thank y'all for having me. This is great. I love sitting down with finding people to have conversation. You know, it's always good.
Yeah. Any last words like for the audience that's going to be listening to this?
To all the guys out there or the women out there, whoever's trying to create anything from scratch, please understand that rule number one, everybody is terrified. You're going to be terrified because you are starting off something new. Your parents or your family's going to be terrified because they don't want you to go off the wrong path. It's not even the fact that they don't believe in you. It's just they want you to lose yourself. Everybody is 100% terrified when they start something. And I think that the goal is to continue to do it and gain confidence doing it. Try not to make the same mistakes twice. You can make mistakes, make a million mistakes, but try your best not to make the same ones twice and just immerse yourself in the world. And I think that you'll figure something out and you'll find something. So these are the words that someone gave to me that I try to pass on to as many people as possible. So hopefully that works.
Start and be afraid. Even if you're afraid, just keep going.
It's terrifying. And you might flop and like flop hard, you know, in front of all your friends and all that. And people might laugh at you too. And you might go broke. And your girl might leave you because you just work too hard. And like your mom's gonna think you're crazy and your parents are gonna be worried about you because you're losing weight. And there's a bunch of things, but keep going. I believe in you. Love.